Gary, let's take a moment and say thank you to our sponsors at Fuji Sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've been working with us for a very long time, not only on this podcast, but also at the Academy. And I'm taking a peek at their website right now, and they have a brand new ultra light gi. Now, this is mind-blowing. I'm looking at my size. A2 is 2.75 pounds. I mean, that's under 3 pounds. That's mind-blowing.
I could even lift that. And go to their website, fujisports.com. Check it out. Anything you could need for your jiu-jitsu journey, you can find at fujisports.com.
Hey, it's been a while since we started RŌL TV project.
It's been a while since you started it. I did come in later, and I can't say enough about it, especially the new platform. It's really amazing, fully customizable, and you know a little bit more about the structure.
Well, so 2 things you need to know. One is the subscription service, which is $9 a month. You can get access to hundreds of videos, hundreds of drills, techniques, and so on in a very nice library categorized as you need them. But 2 different lessons. You can actually purchase those individually and you own them. So the subscription is not tied to it at all. You can look at things like spider guard, half guard sweeps, half guard chokes, folding pass, and so on. There's so many of them out there. So take a look and see where you need help with the videos, right? 30% if you type in RŌL Radio as a code.
Who doesn't like saving money? Go to rolacademy.tv. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please remember to hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. That ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content that you have come to expect. On this episode, we have the owner-instructor of the brand new Brabo Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Alex Humen. Alex has a very unique martial arts journey, one that started in his homeland of Ukraine, where he wrestled for over 10 years. Then Alex traveled to several other countries as a college student and trained wherever he could. But several obstacles kept Alex from starting his jiu-jitsu career. Listen to how Alex overcame these obstacles to become a successful competitor and now a brand new academy owner. Here's the RŌL Radio with the inspiring, entertaining, and most handsome man in BJJ, Alex Humen.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
Guys.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm looking beautiful or not? All right, no problem.
Believe it or not, we're going to keep that. We're going to give that. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do this. And we're live. Gary.
Yes.
What in the world are you doing here?
Oh, why? Because I missed last week?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mixed up my schedule and I couldn't make it. I had, and you've done one of these by yourself now, so I think you're confident.
I'm becoming a pro doing this by myself, and
you're not scared anymore.
You became irreplaceable.
I'm replaceable? Cool. I'll see you later. I'm going to go have lunch.
No. Listen, it's good to have you back. I said this before. That this show is not the same without you, and there is a lot of anxiety that I have when I have to do this by myself. So
I understand, man. I just deleted some old stuff off the Roadcaster, and I'm like looking at it. I can see it's recording. But now I'm terrified that I did something wrong. So I get it.
Yeah, well. Life is good.
So I'm here. Let's see what happens today while I'm here.
Yeah. Alex, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have a great conversation, but you just opened your academy, huh?
Yeah. Finally, I got that piece of paper, and they led me to run my classes. Finally, it's been very stressful, but now, guess what? I have even more stress, because I'm trying to put everything together. But I guess it's a part of the process. I'm learning, and just need a few more weeks, and we'll be all right.
There was this saying, Gary, you might have heard it. It's like, you didn't want to work 9 to 5, so you open your business. So now you work 24 hours a day.
Exactly. I was about to say that, like the last 4 days, I started around 8 o'clock, with the phone in my hands, and then do like all that dirty stuff. Teaching jiu-jitsu is the easiest part, right? To deal with the money and to deal with all of that other stuff is the hardest part.
What do I say?
Yeah.
Well,
you always say.
Can you tell everybody, because everybody thinks if you are an instructor that you work like 2 hours a day and then you just chill and do nothing, play video games or do surfing?
No, it's not true, guys. You gotta hustle. You gotta hustle. Besides teaching jiu-jitsu, there are a lot of other stuff that you have to deal with.
Yeah. We always say, or people always say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's baloney.
Big as a lie.
That's baloney. Right. I think if you're doing what you love, you're probably working harder.
Yeah, no complaints. I knew it's going to be like that. I knew it's not going to be easy, right? And it was the dream of my life. So I'm just need to work. And, we call it this work, but not a job, right? You don't go to a job. You're just enjoying the process. You're learning the process, It's a part of the life, and I absolutely love it. No complaints, well, just some coffee and keep going,
Coffee and jiu-jitsu life is good, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What made you open your own academy?
So like I said, it was the dream of my life, when I was younger, kid. So I wrestle. I started pretty late. I'm Ukrainian, by the way, because a lot of people, they surprised when they hear that I'm not Brazilian or whatever, like yesterday I had that person walk into my academy and he was like, "Are you Brazilian?" I was like, "No, I'm Ukrainian." He was like, "Ukrainian? That's very interesting. Ukrainian guy teaching Brazilian jiu-jitsu in USA, that's kind of crazy, right? But that's part of the life." So, and, wrestling is pretty big in Ukraine, freestyle wrestling especially. And I started wrestling around, maybe I was like 11, 12 years old, and it already was pretty late. Most of the kids, they started around 5, 6 years old. But anyways, and when I started training, I didn't accomplish as much as I want to, but when I graduated from the school, I was like, it could be nice to open like a training center in my small town. I'm from a very small town, and like to make like the first level, it would be the freestyle wrestling, second level judo, and the third level like boxing or something like that. That was my dream, like I was thinking about this a lot, and give something back to community and stuff. But then the life happened, unfortunately I couldn't do all of this in Ukraine. But then when I started traveling around the world, and actually, I started doing jiu-jitsu here in U.S. I've never done jiu-jitsu before. I did some form of MMA grappling, per se, but never strictly jiu-jitsu. I never put the gi on. I didn't believe in the gi, I was like, those guys are crazy. What they are doing, And it was my dream, and the last 5 years I've been working super hard. Like 5 years ago, I started working as the assistant coach at one of the UC gyms here in Virginia. And then eventually I took spot of the main instructor when I was a brown. So I started full-time teaching when I was a purple belt. And then when I was a brown belt, I already started teaching all classes. And that's what I've been doing, the last 5 years. And in just around time, I have a lot of students, and, we have pretty strong kids program. That's what I love. I love teaching kids. And I was like, I can do much more if I open my own place, at UFC gym. Like there are certain, I wouldn't say restrictions. I have amazing people to work with, but, it's a franchise gym, and it's not just jiu-jitsu. There are some other programs, and I want just jiu-jitsu. And you own both, you decide what you want to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's upsides and downfalls of being part of a larger organization, and same thing for owning your own place, right? Go back all the way to the beginning. 6 years old, you're stepping on the mat, you do a little bit of wrestling, time goes on. At which point you start traveling? At which point you leave your country and, you go around Europe before you come to U.S.?
Yeah, so after I graduated from the what we call, you are from Poland, right?
Yeah, I'm Polish. As Polish as it gets. You can make fun of me. It's okay.
Yeah. I no. Polish people are friends to Ukrainians, especially now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But so after I graduated, so we don't have a high school, middle school in Ukraine, right? It's one school, okay?
Right. Yep.
So after I graduated from school, from my school, right? I entered the university, and wrestling actually helped me to get my scholarship per se, right? So because I was selected to wrestle for my university team, and I didn't pay any money for my education. So, and actually, when I at this point I've been doing wrestling for like 6 or 7 years. But like I said, in Ukraine, it's pretty hard. Like I would enter the tournament and we had like 70, 80 people in one weight class. And since I started a little bit later, it was very hard for me to win even a single match, the first match. Because in Ukraine, you don't have the rookie divisions, beginners divisions. It's all one. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing these, it's all one. And so I got my scholarship. I started wrestle. I kept training in my university. We have a very strong team there. I trained with the world champions, European champions, people who participated in Olympic Games and stuff like that. It was pretty strong crowd to train with. And but my university was the agriculture university. So I had the opportunity to take these international exchange programs and go to different countries and work and study their system, what they do there. Okay. So my first country was Poland. I went to Poland and I stayed in Poland for 6 months. And where are you from, Tomasz?
Krakow. I'm from South.
Krakow.
Yep.
I've been to Krakow, and we used to live close to Bydgoszcz.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I speak a little bit Polish too. So it's very similar to you.
If you want to tell me anything about Gary, just speak Polish. You won't know.
Yeah. So if you don't want him to hear this, yeah. But probably Gary knows kurwa, right?
Oh.
Good. Probably he knows that. So we're not gonna say anything. Okay. Yeah. So I stayed in Poland for 6 months. Me and my wife, my future wife, at that point. And then I came back to Ukraine. I kept training, but life happened, and I stopped training. Like I've stopped training, and then we went to Sweden. Like next year, after we returned from the Poland, next year we went to Sweden. So probably I have so in Sweden we stayed for 1 year. I didn't train. I didn't do anything. I didn't do wrestling. I didn't have the opportunity to do anything like that. Then we came back home. I kept my education. I was trying to get my diploma. And then after that, the year after, we went to Denmark. So, and so I went to Poland in 2007. Sweden was in 2008. And we went to Denmark in 2010, I believe so. Yes, in May 2010, and I stayed there for 18 months. Okay, so at this point, I didn't train like 2.5 years, probably, like maybe working out once in a while, but nothing else. And then, I was like, what? I was watching this YouTube video one day, and I was like, man, I miss training. I need to go back train. Stop all these parties, and all these playboy lifestyle, and need to go back to my roots, and you gotta train, So, and then I started I did the Google research, was trying to find the gym in Denmark. I couldn't find any wrestling gyms because it's not that popular in Europe, and especially Denmark, that part of the world, that part of the Europe. But I found the MMA gym, and it was like, I don't know, it was probably like 30, 40 minutes away from where I used to live at, right? And at this point, I didn't have any transportation to get there. So I was trying to figure out the way how I gonna get to that place. So what I was doing is like, I had this moped, right? So I used the moped to get to the bus station, and then I would take the bus, and then that bus would take me to a town, to the bus station, and from the bus station I would walk like 15 minutes to the gym. And one day they stole my moped. so so I have to switch to a bike. So after work, and at this point in Denmark, I not just was living there and having fun, I was working there at the farm because it was a part of my scholarship, right? Mm-hmm. I work at the farm to learn to learn the system, to learn how the Danish were doing with the, with the stuff. And it was very good for my degree and everything, right? So after 8, 9, or 10 hours at the farm, I would come back home, eat real quick, change, and go to a training. And
how long?
I went to,
hold on, before you go forward. How long did it take you from the point you leaving the house to you walked into the gym?
At least hour and a half, probably.
Hour and a half each way.
Yes.
How many days a week?
From the beginning, it was 2 days on a week. It was Tuesdays, Thursdays. But then they let me join like advanced class, and it was more often. But to be honest with you, I remember Tuesdays, Thursdays specifically. But then they let me join in other classes, and once in a while I would make Saturday classes. I was trying to make every Saturday classes. If I done with my work and I don't need to work, or I don't have to go to work, I would be there. So
the reason why I'm asking is I know people who complain about 15-minute car ride to the academy.
Mine's 4, and sometimes I don't want to go.
So I tell you even more, right? I hear from the, probably we're gonna talk about this a little bit later, but I just want to mention that before I forget, right? So when I wrestle, and our gym, like, Ukraine is not that rich country, right? So. And the gym that we used to train at, it was super close to my house. It was probably like 10 minutes walk, right? But then we had a problem with the roof, and in the winter time, it was pretty cold there, and we didn't have money to keep that place warm, right? So my coach, he found another place, but it was like, from my house, it was like maybe 30, 35 minutes walk. Mm-hmm. You hear this? Walk.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's like no car, no bike. You on your feet. Yes, for everybody who's listening.
Yes, and in the winter time, it gets pretty cold. And you guys, you are from Chicago, right?
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah.
So it's kind of the similar weather.
Yeah.
So sometimes you would get like 2 meters of snow, 6 feet of snow, right? And it would be pretty cold, and I had no problem walk to the gym and train. So it would take like 30, 35 minutes to get to the gym, train 2-3 hours, and then come back home. You know what I mean? So
that's dedication.
And nobody told me to do so. My parents, like, probably most of the times they even didn't know where I was. You know what I mean? So, but I think it's a desire. It's something that you need to have, in your heart, and you just do it,
So you're in Denmark, 18 months. You go through these obstacles to get to the gym. You train a couple times a week. At which point you migrate to US and you get introduced to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
So Thomas, if you let me tell you a story, it's a beautiful story. How I
please do.
How I got into Jiu Jitsu. How I expressed my interest in Jiu Jitsu. All right.
Yeah. Please do.
So going back to Denmark, okay? So I found this MMA gym, amazing people. Shout out to them. I'm still talk to them on the amazing people, amazing guys. The club was called MMA Vibor. And actually, I trained there with some Polish guys too, and he just hit me up like a few days ago, and he was like, man, I never couldn't imagine that you're going to be the Jiu-Jitsu academy owner, So, and I started training with them, and my wrestling background, helped me a lot. And, I started smoking those guys like in grappling. So we would split the striking and striking part of the training and grappling, right? And I hated striking, obviously, but but I really loved the grappling part of it. And when we grapple, I would smoke everyone, right? Because I had this grappling experience. I wrestle, right? So, and these, I remember after maybe few weeks, maybe months of training, these guys show up for practice, and I see his cauliflower ears, right? I was like, man, I gotta challenge him. I gotta fight him for sure. He's a wrestler or whatever. And I was like, hey, and he was super quiet, kind of like, that vibe, kind of different vibe. I was like, man, this guy is kind of strange, but, and I challenged him to roll. And he beat me up so bad. He handled me on my way home, back home. I was crying in the bus, because my ego was hurt. I was like, I am wrestling is the best sport in the world. I am strong, blah, blah, this and that. And this guy just destroyed me, right? So, but anyways, I talked to him later. I was like, man, what are you doing? Where you got these cauliflower ears from? And he was like, I'm a pro belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, what is that? I even did at this point, I might heard something. Of course, I heard about Royce Gracie, UFC, stuff like that. But I didn't know about Jiu-Jitsu, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, I was like, man, this is crazy. The stuff that he was doing to me, that's not fair, that should be illegal. But anyway, I came back home and remember on the Discovery Channel, they had these, I forgot how you call this TV show, two guys that travel around the world doing different martial arts.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Hold on, I'll look it up. Keep going.
So one of the guys, actually, he was a commentator, or he's still a commentator for the Bellator championship. The bald guy, I forgot his name. So, and they travel around the world, and then they were doing different martial arts. And I found the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. One of these episodes was about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I watched it, and I was like, man, this is pretty cool. So I want to do it. But unfortunately, it was very hard to find any places in Denmark just to go and train Jiu-Jitsu. So I kept training with my MMA club. I was asking guy to train me, but, he was like, oh, I don't have time. Which I understand, no problem, right? So, and that's how I got introduced to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu after my ass got whooped. That was like my lesson.
I'm laughing because I had the same story.
Yeah. And then
story.
I came back home, and in Ukraine we didn't have any jiu-jitsu places, and I trained with some MMA. I kept training MMA, and then pankration. Probably, Thomas, you know what the pankration is. It's very popular in Poland as well.
Mm-hmm.
And before, pankration was under FILA, right, which is called now, what is they called? W something, different. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I haven't.
So pankration was like, so pankration was like 3 different types of pankration: grappling, striking, and striking like combat sambo, and then another one when you would wear the uniform. Okay, that's another one. And it was it just became very popular in Ukraine. And me and my group of my friends, wrestlers, we got together and we started training a little bit. One of my friends, he was a pretty good kickboxer, and also with our wrestling background. And then, we would watch some videos and then just practice, and so I started doing pankration, and I had few fights, a few tournaments to go to, and then I went to Thailand. I really fell in love with kickboxing, Muay Thai. We went to Thailand. Me and my wife, we went to honeymoon, but I ended up training a little bit, So, and then, and we kept training, and I kept training, and then I went. So my plan was, like I told you, like I wanted to open the gym, just pankration gym or whatever. We would keep training MMA. we have a good group of people with a wrestling background, so we want to fight MMA. But due to some circumstances, we couldn't open the gym, and then I had to leave. I went to Norway. I stayed in Norway a little bit for 3 months. It didn't work out. I came back home. And then after I came back home from Norway, I told to my wife, I want to go. I always want to live in US. I always want to live in US. And so I got the opportunity to for this scholarship, what we call, right, because of my degree. And I was like, yes. But when they offered me this spot, the first thing what I did, I went on Google and trying to make sure I can train jiu-jitsu there, So, and then it still was like 30, 40 minutes away, but I was like, that's fine. I can make it, So and then when I moved to US in 2013, I was a student. And then they offered me the working visa. I couldn't start training right away because I didn't have any money. I couldn't buy any car. And, unfortunately here it was the US has a big transportation problem. In Europe, it's easy. The buses are everywhere, and but here in US, there is no bus, right? Like if you live in the countryside, in Europe, it's everywhere, train, bus, And so I didn't have the money, because my wife and my little daughter, they stay in Ukraine, I didn't have the money to buy the car right away. But after I think almost 8 months, finally I got some funds. I bought the car. The first thing what I did, I went to the gym and I signed up for the jiu-jitsu.
And how was your first class then?
I'm not gonna lie, since I didn't train for a while, right? So I was kind of nervous, and I remember, I always trying to make much earlier, if I have an appointment or I need to go to a class. So I came probably 20 minutes before the class, and I was sitting in the parking lot. I was pretty nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I still remember these. I was like, I don't know what kind of guys they are, and how they're going to react. And this guy from Ukraine, with this very heavy accent, but it was in North Carolina, by the way. So Ukrainian and North Carolina accent, they're very similar. So I didn't have any, I didn't have any problem with that, but the people were amazing, and my first school, they were excellent. They're very good people, and I think after the first class, they right away we went to get some food, and they were very excited to have me. And then starting then, I was in the gym pretty much every day.
Well, nice. Good for you. I got to tell you, before we move on with this conversation, it just everything that you've shared so far is mind-blowing in my opinion. So traveling through, I don't know, 6, 7 countries that I wrote down, and then there might be more that you didn't mention, traveling around the world with this vision and dream of one day having the academy, it is quite mind-blowing. So the fact that you did open your own academy last week, my head goes off to you. Congratulations. I feel a lot of similar experiences, from my side, just much earlier in my life. So I completely share a lot of that passion and a lot of that traveling and so on. So that's good for you. Good for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate.
Take me back to the first day. I'm going to go back. I like going back for a moment. Take me back to that first day when you are way back in that gym and the guy with cauliflower works in and you're like, I'm going to put a whooping on. Walk me through what's in your mind when you are actually rolling with him. What are you thinking about? What's in your mind? You're getting the floor is getting mopped with you.
Yeah.
What's happening in your head?
Yeah. So when I rolled with that guy in Denmark, when I got, like I said, the first jiu-jitsu guy I ever rolled with, right? So it was more than 12 years ago, I think, but I remember I got super frustrated because I couldn't resist this technique. He wasn't much bigger than me, but he was using his technique, and then he was super proficient with his techniques and moves, that I couldn't do. Like I said, like I thought that I'm physically very strong, and if somebody start beating me technically, I still can use my strength. Yeah. Nope. Didn't work out. And so like I said, I'm that serious. On my way home, I'm still remember these flashbacks. PTSD. I still have that. I'm sitting in the bus. I remember it was a rainy night. I'm sitting there in the bus, and I was like, I had I had tears on my eyes. I was like, how that possible? How he could do that to me, But after that, next day, I was like, I need to learn this because I want to do exactly the same to the other people, So, and that's why, like, that's how I fell in love in jiu-jitsu and, trying different martial arts or combat systems per se, right? I truly believe, like, because people will be like, oh, because you are jiu-jitsu black belt. No, not because I'm jiu-jitsu black belt. I practiced Muay Thai, wrestling, boxing right before I started doing jiu-jitsu. But jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is the most practical martial art, right? Because you have a chance to experience live training every single class, and that's very important. And that's how you learn, and that's how you get better. That's the whole perspective about jiu-jitsu. It's a very practical martial art. It's the most practical martial art, or combat system, if you will. Yeah. Because I'm not sure if you can call wrestling, for example, a martial art. It's not. It's more like a sport, right? Or the combat sport per se.
Yeah,
right?
we've had many individuals on this show, and some even made statements as judo might not be seen as a martial art. It might be more considered as a sport than a martial art, right? So like it's all about perspective, but I know what you mean. These are styles of fighting and defending yourself, right? This physical exchange and with different components surrounded by certain rules, right? Because rules have a lot to do with this too, right?
Yes. So for me, pretty much the martial arts are like if it has if they have the Japanese background and you need to wear the belt. Remember, like for example, now they make like even in Muay Thai, some Muay Thai system they have the belt. Muay Thai gyms they have a belt system, right? Mm-hmm. But originally Muay Thai never had the belts, right? Mm-hmm. But jiu-jitsu, judo, they always had the belts. It was a part of the original art, right? Because judo was designed for the samurais, right? Mm-hmm. And I think so. It's really important to study the history of the art or the sport. Mm-hmm. So that's why the martial arts for me, kung fu is a martial art too for me. All the other like Krav Maga, Sambo, it's more combat systems, right? Because Sambo, for example, if you go back to if you talk about Sambo based on different martial arts, judo, boxing, kickboxing. So it's a system, right? Mm-hmm. When you take the piece of each art or each sport, if you will, and then you put it together. So it's more this in the system, in my opinion, in my perspective,
Yeah.
So, and jiu-jitsu, originally, people were training the gis with the belts on. But of course, during the training and like when the time passed, when they added more belts, which just make more sense, especially for the kids and stuff like that, But that's my perspective.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, a lot of people... Even you find yourself now, right now, you are an instructor and you have your students and so on, and people are trying this jiu-jitsu art system, self-defense and so on. And many of them do give up. Many of them, stop training for a variety of reasons. But one of the big ones is that this is complex and it requires a lot of dedication. And in today's world, that's not something that people necessarily look for. So I want to kind of bridge this back to that very first experience that you had with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You have high confidence in what you know at that point of time. And you experience this this engagement with that purple belt, who, you know, as you describe, he just, you know, demolishes you. He makes it very difficult technically. He doesn't unstring you, but very technically he makes it challenging for you. Many students would give up at that point. They would simply say, you know what, this is freaking nonsense. I'm not doing this. This is crazy. And for you, this went the opposite direction. You know, you fell in love with jiu-jitsu, even though you didn't train jiu-jitsu until 3 or 4 years later. You continued, you know, this is still in your mind. What was so appealing about this? Why you didn't quit versus you actually went the opposite direction? That passion grew even stronger.
So, Tomasz and Gary, you know, remember I am Ukrainian, right? So we don't give up.
Gary doesn't believe me when I say that Polacks are stubborn.
See, you don't listen to me when I tell you that I dated a Polish girl who was the first one born in her family here. I know. I've experienced it.
You know, and Ukraine even more east, you know, so
it gets worse. The further east you go, the worse it gets. Yeah.
So, and you know, probably with the current situation in Ukraine, you can see that we don't give up, you know.
Yeah.
So that's one of the. So speaking of my own perspective, and then we're gonna talk about the other people, right, who's trying to just.
Yeah. I
knew what I want. You know what I mean? I knew what I want. I knew jiu-jitsu is the best. Is the best for me. That's what I want. I want to learn this system. I want to learn this art. I want to learn this sport, and I want to whoop everybody's ass using jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? That was my goal. You know, that was my desire. I want to learn this, and you know, I got obsessed with it. You know, I just got, like I said, I came back to Ukraine. You know, and I didn't have anybody to teach me grappling. You know. When I used to live in Denmark, we had a few guys with a MMA background, you know, and they traveled to US and train in US. I think one of our instructors, he used to train with Randy Couture, you know, here in US. And, you know, and so they have the experience in jiu-jitsu or grappling, you know, wherever you said. So at least they could show me what the armbar is, what the rear naked choke is and stuff like that, right? But when I came back home, I didn't have anybody to train me, but I want to learn. And, you know, and I was like, when I came back home and back in 2010, 2011, not that much information exists, right? We didn't have as much as we do now. You know, all those sources, BJJ Fanatics, Jiu-Jitsu X, all the kind of stuff. Even on YouTube, you go on YouTube and you can find 10,000 different videos how to do the armbar from the closed guard. Back then, it didn't exist. But what happened was, so I started watching a lot of videos. I watch every jiu-jitsu videos on YouTube. I'm swearing, guys. Everything what they had about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I watched everything, you know? And I came across this match. I came across this video. I believe IDCC 2007. Absolute final, Robert Drysdale against Marcelo Garcia.
Oh, yeah.
And Robert Drysdale dorsed him, right?
Yeah.
So after he dorsed him, and I was like, man, that's a beautiful choke. So what happened was I came back to the gym. I like I said, we have this group of friends, group of people training. And I was like, guys, I learned this new move. Let me try it. And then I start drilling. Just this exactly the same what Robert Drysdale did on Marcelo Garcia, right? And I start drilling. And guess what? 12 years later, we just released my first instructional on BJJ Fanatics called Darce Chokes. You know, that's amazing, right? That's how I started learning. And then I keep improving, getting better. And then eventually I got super proficient. And when I start training jiu-jitsu and competing in jiu-jitsu, I started using the Darces in every single match, you know? And I learned, nobody taught me this. I just watched the video and practiced. So that's how bad I want it, you know what I mean? But if we come back to the regular people, right, who just have no background, but they want to do jiu-jitsu or they want to do something in their life. They want to change their life and they they came across the jiu-jitsu play. They came across on internet. They found the jiu-jitsu plays. They'd be like, let me try it. So most of the times we can put those people in different groups, right? There are the guys who wants to fight, and we call them fighters, right? So most of the times they would join the jiu-jitsu gym. Maybe they have a little bit background. Maybe they wrestle. When we talk about US, maybe they wrestle a little bit in high school, or they have some background. They used to do judo back in the days, or karate, or whatever, and they want to fight. They want to fight MMA, So, and they'd be like, okay, the first place what they go to is going to be jiu-jitsu place. Okay, so I have a lot of students like that who want to fight MMA, and they would join jiu-jitsu class, right? Then we have people who have no idea what jiu-jitsu is, but they want to get tougher. Maybe they want to lose some weight, and they they don't want to go to the CrossFit gym. All right. They want to put in an action. Okay. And for them, jiu-jitsu is a part of the exercise, right? Which is, I don't like when somebody says that, right? Jiu-jitsu is not an exercise, I hate when guys don't say exercise. Okay, please. So, and then the third group it would be the people who want to join the community. They want that interaction with the other people. They want to meet new people, and jiu-jitsu gyms are a great platform where you meet people from different areas, right? I met people like doctors, lawyers, police officers, military. I'm living in the military town, a lot of militaries, and all of them training on the same mats, and sharing mats and training with each other, So I would say that's the three main groups. And most of the times, like the people who want to fight, maybe when they try jiu-jitsu and they've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while, they see that they can do just jiu-jitsu. They don't need necessarily do MMA fights, right? So they fell in love and they want to get better. I have few guys like that right now. They are like 26, 27 years old. They want to compete. They're ready to invest the money in that. They want to compete in IBJJF tournaments and stuff like that, right? So they start training a lot, and then second group, most of the times, those guys, they practice 2-3 times in a week. Okay. And then the same pretty much with this third group. Those guys, they 2-3 times in a week, they're trying to hit the open mat once in a while, just having fun. They enjoying process. They enjoying jiu-jitsu. They don't worry. I think the third group, those guys, then they don't care about ranking. They don't care about the stripes. They just want to have fun and trust in the process. Unfortunately, most of the times, the second group of people, they really want to get the stripe, they want to get the belt, and they asking probably on the second class, they're already asking about the stripe and stuff like that, right? And that's okay, because they didn't have any background, they don't know what jiu-jitsu is, right? And they need to experience, they're not a part of the community yet. Right? Do you follow me, right? You understand that?
Yeah.
Because jiu-jitsu is all about the community, is all about the vibe, That's why we say academy. I like the term academy. When we say academy, it's not the gym, right? Gym, that's the place where you go and lift. Academy is like, it has their own structure. It has their own rules, or like maybe rules. Yeah, we can call it rules, right? Because you still need to follow the rules. You need to follow the system per se, right? And a lot of times those people, unfortunately, they're not familiar with these, and you need to explain to them, right? That you need to integrate them into the system.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense so far, right?
Absolutely.
And and most likely these people from the second group, that's people who usually quit jiu-jitsu because some of them might get hurt, family issues, or they feel like they're not a part of this community. Unfortunately, it happens too. and that's why they would just disappear. And I have few students like that. You know, they would disappear. They would never tell you the reason why they quit. You know, even if you're trying to be like reaching out to them and ask, because to be honest with you, for me, it's important, you know, as an instructor, as a professor, to know why my student quit, you know. And sometimes, unfortunately, they even wouldn't tell you why. Sometimes they say life, okay, and you know that's very universal answer. But what is really behind that? Unfortunately, we don't know. Do you experience the same, Thomas?
Yeah, I think that's, you know, pretty common in lacrosse, you know, across jiu-jitsu, no matter where you train around the world, you know, and I do think that, you know, often the sharing the reason is hard for the student too. You know,
It can be embarrassing.
It could be embarrassing
Yes.
at some points. I do think what you're saying right now is really, really important, is that sometimes, most of the time, I think that decision, quote unquote, to quit is made by far deeper than just life.
Absolutely.
There's more to this, because I and Gary and I, we've talked about it so many times on this show. It's, if it's important to you, you will find time. If it's important to you, you will drive an hour. If it's important to you, you will prioritize things in a way where you can make it work, right? And I never say that jiu-jitsu should be the most important part of your life. It shouldn't. There are other things that are more important. But just don't say that it's important to you and you don't have time for it, because that is not true. That statement is not true, right?
That's right.
If
It's
it's
very rare.
If it's important, you will make time. And if it's not important, well, that's fine too. It's just don't lie to yourself. I at least that's my perspective. What do you think about it?
No, I completely agree. But you know, it's also it depends on the instructor, on the professor, coach, wherever, right?
Yeah.
We need to create this vibe where everyone gonna be feeling important, right?
Correct.
And if be honest with you, like just recently, I have a student on my. So he just started training like a few months ago, and and then he got deployed, right? And I even didn't know, because he'd been with us only for a few months, maybe 1 month, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have with him like super close relationship, you know, compared to the guys who've been training with me for a few years. So
Right.
and so he gone, right? And I got busy. I didn't have a time to check on him, you know. And then he texted me on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, professor, I got deployed, and I'm trying to find the gym here. I'm trying to find the jiu-jitsu gym here to keep training, you know. And but I really appreciate your time. And when I'm coming back home, I just want to keep training with you, right?" So that means within this short amount of time, within 1 month,
Yep.
I make him feel like he is important for me, and
Absolutely.
he is important for a team.
Yep.
You know, and that's I think that's very important. Like I said, jiu-jitsu is all about the community, right?
Yeah.
Besides teaching armbar strokes and stuff like that, right? You need to give this energy to people, like where they be like, okay, this is the place where I want to be at.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'm sucking jiu-jitsu at this point, right? My
Yeah.
armbars are not the best in the world, but I see this community, I see these guys, I see this beautiful Ukrainian guy teaching jiu-jitsu, you know. You know, so I want to stay here and I want to keep training. So I think this is important. This vibe is very important in jiu-jitsu, you know. And you know, I was listening to podcast with Robert Drysdale. I can't remember. I'm a fan of Robert Drysdale. You know, I read his book Close Guard, you know, and everything. And like I said, I learned Darshok from him. So, and I listened to, and he's like, he has a degree in history, right? And he's a good speaker. He's very intelligent person. So he was talking about these people start saying that we shouldn't call Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? And I think eventually it's going to happen. Like, it's going to be just the term jiu-jitsu, you know? But anyways, he was like, there is a reason why we call this Brazilian jiu-jitsu, because Brazilian, it adds that special atmosphere, that vibe. When you chilling, shakas, you know, always late to a class. I'm never late to a class, but my Brazilian professor always late to a class. Not gonna mention any names, Diego Bispo. But anyways, but it's that what gives the this vibe, and you feel like and guys, because you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty about jiu-jitsu. That's why jiu-jitsu is booming right now. Because it's something that you can't experience any other gyms, and actually jiu-jitsu academies, right? Jiu-jitsu gyms, even if I don't like to say gym, but anyways, it's open for everyone, right? It doesn't matter what age you are, how old you are, what gender you are, and stuff like that. You can still come and train, and I think it is important, and that's why people like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who we had on the show, but they said, I think it was Dracolino, but he said, literally, we put our lives in the hands of our partner, right? We literally, not in a figurative way, literally, we entrust our life to what our partner is doing to us. And that creates this very unique chemistry. In addition to this, there's a lot of bonding that takes place all within the class, all within the group. There is a lot of this exchanging and chit. Honestly, I probably can count, handful of people that I know that I would consider friends who are not in jiu-jitsu. Like all people I know, they are in jiu-jitsu. Like it just, and even if I do meet people who are outside of jiu-jitsu, it sometimes it's even hard to create that connection because I feel like we don't have that much in common. And it's not that I'm not trying to be ignorant about this. It's that jiu-jitsu creates such a different dynamic between people. And I think that is what you are talking about, having that chemistry within the class, within the academy. It's so important.
We talked about this the other day, you and I just sitting on the mat. Do you think that the traditions of jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the belts, the gi, the bowing in, the hierarchy, with this chemistry and this casual atmosphere that's growing in it, do you think all those traditions are gonna fade away?
Good question, Gary. And I'm gonna be careful with what I'm saying here because I don't want people to go after me after what I say.
You already said that you're beautiful, so people are already pissed
and you already insulted
beautiful,
Diego.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I can't handle that. Because it's true. If it's gonna hurt somebody's feelings, that's your problem, guys.
Yeah, definitely watch this on YouTube.
Yes, yeah. But speaking of traditions and everything, I think it's also so since I'm not from US, right, and I've been living to different countries and stuff like that, right, it's also depends on the mentality and the cultural things, right? Here in US you have people from all over the world, and US itself is the country of free people, right? So a lot of people don't like when somebody tell them what to do. It kind of makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you bowing, I don't know if you do that at your school, like all traditional jiu-jitsu schools, like you have to bow into the Helio Gracie and your senseis or your professors' pictures and stuff like that. Some people, they don't like that. Mm-hmm. I have few guys who they went to train somewhere else, so they came from different academies, and they would say that they told me that they didn't like that. You know what I mean? I think jiu-jitsu is going to change a lot, and it's already changing because jiu-jitsu becoming more professional sport, and people start making money. Before black belts, they were making money by owning the school. Mm-hmm. Now they're making the money actually competing. Like even IBJF start paying. They just pay, like I think I saw pictures from Worlds, from the Mundials, and Felipe Andrew, he ranked number 1, and he got paid like $15,000, right? Mm-hmm. That's IBJF, and we're not talking about other professional events that we have, and people start making money, right? So and USA is the number 1, is the Mecca of Jiu-Jitsu right now. The best guys are training here, pretty much. and here people do whatever they want to do. There is no tradition. There are no traditions, old school traditions anymore, right? Of course, if you want to keep something at your school, you're more than welcome to do, right? Nobody gonna tell you. You do whatever you think is the best for your school. What is your opinion on this, right? If you would ask me, so I have certain requirements or certain rules or BJJ etiquette, right? So when you step on the mats, you bow in, you leave the mats, you bow out. We line up before class, we do put people according to the rank. When I line them up, like the front, the higher rank in the beginning of the line. We finish the class in the same way. I don't like when people swear on the mats, because I have teenagers training with the adults, and I don't know if jiu-jitsu mats are good for that, So I hate when people late to a class and they step on the mats without the permission. That's my main issue. Like, I would tell everyone that you need to ask my permission to step on the mats. If you're late, if you have a meeting, a doctor's appointment, and you're late, or even you are not late, before you go enter the doctor's office, you need to knock first, right? So that's the cultural thing, that's etiquette, and same with jiu-jitsu. Like, if you're late to a class, I started running the class, please ask me the permission. Don't enter the mat without my permission. Besides that, we don't have anything else. But I do believe that jiu-jitsu traditions, jiu-jitsu etiquette will change a lot in the next few years. The more jiu-jitsu is going to grow here in the US, the more different rules will disappear, okay? Or like the academy owners that will create the new ones, So, but I think it really depends on the owner. It really depends on the owner. It's your business. You do whatever you think you need to do.
Yeah, and that's the price we pay for freedoms in this country, particularly, right? We can do what we want.
Absolutely.
We lose some of those traditions at the same time. And I'm a huge fan of everything you do. I mean, we line up in the belt order. We bow in, bow out. Like, the respect to the mat, to instructors, all that is important. Some of those traditions that I started 20 plus years ago have faded away. But a lot of them, we kept in my academy because I think they're important as part of even from a historical aspect, for the new students to gain that feeling of being part of this art, right? And I feel, I could be wrong here because I can't tell future, but I feel more of those traditions fade away, then jiu-jitsu becomes more of a gym, more of a sport.
Right.
Versus
here in US.
Right.
Yeah, because in Brazil they don't say gym, they say academy.
Right. Exactly.
And they say professor, right? They don't say, they even don't have the term. No, they have the term treinador, right? But they don't use this for the jiu-jitsu, I believe, right? They say, even if you're a poor belt or you brown belt, they still say professor because it means teacher.
Yeah.
And that's why, but you see here in US, once again, a lot of, I know a few of my American friends, they are black belts and they don't like to be called professor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had guys come through here for seminars that are like, "Don't just call me Jim, just call me Bill."
They hate that, and they hate that, and you call them adults, they call them by the name, and the little kids they call by the coach,
right.
Coach forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I call my professor. Everybody call me professor because I'm teaching. If somebody call me coach, I have no problem with this,
Yeah.
But I would definitely never let the kids call me by the name. And sometimes the new kids or some of the kids get too excited, and they say, Alex, they're doing 10,000 push-ups rather we don't play those games, But I think you don't be like, oh, don't call me coach, because no, you call me whatever you want to, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that it's wrong or right, but supposedly I'm professor, you know what I mean? It's like, so, and,
Well,
yeah,
and,
but I have a problem with that,
to
you know?
be and to be honest with you, a lot of that boils down to the culture within the academy. I mean, it like I don't think there was even one instance where I told somebody to call me a professor, and yet most of the students do. So it's the culture that is developed, is the, you know, how you present things, is how you
Right.
present yourself. You know, what
Right.
the standards do you keep yourself, you know, against, you know, others. And like, I think it's not difficult to figure out these dynamics within the academy and do what's right, you know. And you know, I think that's what you talked about, that culture, that
Exactly.
community. This is
Yeah.
it right there.
And I was about to say, I was about to go back to these and say that, right? So you need to make sure. So these new guys, like we were talking about, the second group of people who have no idea, most of the times they have no idea what Jiu-Jitsu Academy is or who Jiu-Jitsu coach is, instructor, right? So that's why it's kind of important to explain them. And my academy now, what I do, I'm printing out like a piece of paper. It says BJJ etiquette and Brabo Academy, right? So when they sign up, I'll give them this paper so they can read, like, because I have a huge problem with the no shoes of the mat, you know, when people
Same
step, you know, that's like, you know, I have a big problem with that. So I want to make sure, because I gonna, like, sometimes I can get mad and I want to get mad, you know. So, but like, that's why you need to tell people from the beginning what they need to expect.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? At your place. So you couldn't avoid all those problems if you tell them from the beginning what to do, right? Like, what to do, I mean, in a polite way, what to do, right? Like, just simply don't go to the bathroom without shoes on. Don't step off the mats without shoes on, right? Don't step on the mats with the shoes on, you know? And, you know, like, please don't do this, do that. You know, just tell them from the beginning. Or sometimes if you have an issue, you know, I have no problem, especially with the kids. I'm just like, I'll tell them, I'll deliver this message to them, you know. And, you know, I have the several group chats where if we have some problems, I would be like, guys, please, that's what we're doing, you know, or like, that's what we are not doing. You know, always conversation is very important. You know, if you deliver this message to your students, they feel more comfortable. You need to constantly delivering the messages that you want to deliver. Don't carry on. You know what I mean? Don't try to keep that, because then it start to really frustrate you, right? And eventually you're gonna explode. You know, you'll be like, man, what's going on here? You know.
Not only that, but other students see them doing that, and they might actually start doing that. And then from one person, you can have 10 people doing the same thing.
Exactly.
And to be honest, it's not their fault because they didn't know.
Exactly.
Like that's part of the job of being an instructor or staff in the academy or a business owner, whatever. You have to set the expectations to the correct level.
Yeah, and you know, that's why, like, I tell to my senior belts, you know, the guys who've been training with me for 5 years now, you know, they know exactly what we need, because we have a system, right? We have this system, and they know exactly what we need to do. And sometimes I don't have to go and tell every new person what to do, right? So sometimes the senior belts, they deliver this message for me. You know what I mean? They deliver this message to newcomers, beginners, you know, whatever you call them, new students. And, you know, and it's very important, because when they deliver that message, they shake their hand, they introduce themselves, you know, and then people be like, oh, this guy is kind of cool because he told me what to do and what not to do, you know?
Yeah.
So, but you, like I said, like, it's a system, you know, and you got to build this system. It's like, if you have a system, it's much easier to run your business, to run your academy, right? Just create a system, it's going to work for you. You know what I mean? Even if you're not there, it's going to work for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I believe me. We've had, how long we've been open? 8 years, 7, 8 years, you know, here. So I share a lot of the things that you are doing right now. We've done them just handful years behind us. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I do have an important question. It's just kind of, I made a note of it, and I didn't want to interrupt because this is really important, in the middle of the conversation. So we have established that Ukrainians are more stubborn than Polacks, but I'm wondering which one is better looking, because I find myself good looking too. So,
Thomas, there is a, look at me and look at you.
Really.
No, Gary, let me ask. Gary, what do you think?
Well, Gary, that's obvious what he's going to say.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, we're going to roll tonight. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm going with the Ukrainians. And I'm not. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Gary, when in the beginning of the podcast, when I saw you, I knew we're going to be friends.
Yes.
As soon as I
easy
saw,
to
I was
tell,
like,
right?
man, this guy is going to be my friend.
I'm easygoing. I'm one of those casual, easygoing Americans we were talking about.
Yeah.
This show is going down.
You asked the question, so you got nobody to blame but
Alex,
yourself.
it was great to have you for the first and the last time on the show.
Don't hate. Thomas.
That's true.
Just maybe work on your facial.
I know. Well, that's why I'm letting it grow so it covers it.
Exactly.
But listen, Alex, we've been at this for a while, for an hour. We've been talking for an hour. Before we finish the show, one of the things that we do at the end of every episode is whoever was sitting in your seat asked a question without knowing that you are going to be answering that question. Mm-hmm. So Gary's going to take a lead on this, and this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I hope so. This is from Luca Atalla, who wants to know, how do you plan to impact as many people as possible with your jiu-jitsu?
Very fitting considering your academy.
Yeah. So, when I was a pro belt, I started posting videos on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And since that, I have almost 70,000 followers on my Instagram, and right now I'm super busy. So I haven't been posting a lot, but I feel like from the beginning, I just was doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have any purpose behind it. And just like I was doing it. And then when I started working in the UFC gym, manager told me, like, do the technique of the week or something like that. It's pretty cool. And I started doing it, and I didn't believe in this. I didn't believe it's going to blow out one day. Okay. I was like, I'm just going to do it. Right. And it has like 200-300 views, and I was like, one of my videos, it was like, 500 views, and I was like, oh my god, half of 1,000 people watch my videos, right? And then I remember one day I posted a video, and remember Kasai grappling promotion?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
they reposted my video. Man, I was the happiest guy in the world. I was like, man, I'm famous now, and so. And then instead of doing once in a week, I started doing twice in a week, 3 times in a week. And then like those big accounts, jiu-jitsu accounts on Instagram, they start reposting my stuff, and people start texting me, and they'd be like, oh, I like your videos, thank you, keep doing it, and then I was like, man, I can connect with the rest of the world through the social media without even knowing that person, Mm-hmm. So like I start talking to these people, like they would watch my videos, they would text me or they comment or whatever the case might be. And then I start to interact with these people, like I have messages like from South Africa. The guy texted me from South Africa yesterday, and he was talking that he might visit my academy one day. Isn't it beautiful? And then, it really motivates me because of course, people talk a lot of crap on the internet, and that's fine. Sometimes it kind of upsets me, but, I'd be like, all right, people, you can win on the internet, that's fine. But most of and especially like, when the war started in Ukraine 3 months ago, right? And people, like, they were messaging me, like, they'd be like, Professor, we are with you, we support you, and that kind of helped me to stay strong and see that the rest of the world really support Ukraine, Mm-hmm. And, that's how you get connected, united through the jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? And that's why I remember like I didn't do any posts on my Instagram when the war started. I couldn't do it. I didn't have energy nor desire, to do anything like that. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing it because that's how I can deliver. That's how I can make somebody's happier. They're gonna watch my video and they subscribe for me. They follow me for some reason. I'm just gonna keep doing it. And I kept doing it. And now I post my students' techniques and stuff like that. And I think it's beautiful. That's how you share your knowledge. That's how you get connected to the rest of the world. That's how you get united through the jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that a good answer? Is that the right answer for that question?
I think it's a great answer. I think it's one of the, it's a tool, and like any tool, you could misuse it, but when you're using it for the right reasons, it can be really fantastic.
Absolutely. I agree, Gary. Yes, you got to use the tools, the social media gives you these tools. You gotta use them,
Do you have a lot of haters?
Only Thomas, because you're so good looking.
Yes, they'd be like, I'll be receiving these DMs. It'd be like, man, I'm so ugly, you're so beautiful. I'd be like, I can't help you. I cannot make your jiu-jitsu more beautiful, but nothing with your face, But not because I'm not controversial. Of course, I would post some techniques and people start talking crap, like that it wouldn't work and stuff like that. That's fine, I got like I posted like a few months ago. I posted like 3 or 4 months ago. I posted video how to tie your belt.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and the few guys that were telling me this wrong, and one kid from Brazil, he was telling that I'm black belt, blah blah, and you're doing wrong. You don't respect. Okay, we were arguing like some other black belts jumping, and it's a waste of time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're not gonna win on the internet. And then once again, like I don't like to talk about this, but anyways, this is the reality. I had few when the war started. I had few people texting me like from different country, telling me that I'm doing wrong or like blah blah this and that, and I was trying to deliver the message to them, but no, it's too bad, And Bernardo, when I went to film, I'm about to done, Thomas. I told you I like to talk, so that's.
Oh no,
there's always room to talk about Bernardo. Always.
Yeah, when I went to, first of all, Bernardo is one of the most genius human beings in the world. That's one of the. So we scheduled my filming like 2 or 3 months before, right? And guess what? We scheduled to the.
It's not us.
No, this hasn't happened in a bit.
Can you hear us?
That's still going.
Oh, hold on a second. Say something, Alex.
I hear you guys.
Yes, we're back. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you notice? Did you notice that the moment you start talking how beautiful you are, the thing went down? I just want to say that it just.
I'm gonna have to leave that in. But he's been talking
things
about
happen for a reason. Okay.
He's been talking about how beautiful he is since before we started recording.
Probably you, Thomas. You did that, because you were like, man, we have enough of this guy, calling himself beautiful and calling me ugly. And we gotta cut it off. Yeah, we need to
end meeting.
I love how everything turns against me today. I can't win.
Alex, you're right. We are friends. Yeah,
Gary, I knew it. I told you, I knew it.
Yes, we have a common enemy.
Anyhow, you were talking about Bernardo.
So like I said, my filming was scheduled for February 24th, and war started on 24th. My filming was scheduled for 26th, and war started on 24th. And I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I didn't eat, but I was like, anyways, I'm going to Boston to do my stuff, right?
Yeah.
And when I got there, I asked Bernardo if you can take a picture with me and Ukrainian flag. And probably you might saw that post, right?
I remember. Yep.
Yeah. So after that, like a lot of people reaching out to me, and 99% it was a positive messages, but few of them, they weren't, but I don't know if you call these haters. It's more like I think it's not towards me, it's towards the situation, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
And there's a lot of trolls out there.
Listen, I learned over time, no matter what you do, people will be upset with it. Like, you can't please everybody. You can't. There's no way.
No,
like,
and you'll never win an argument
no.
online. You'll
well,
never
and that's
win
the thing. I think the downfall of the internet is that you can't talk to people who are unwilling to listen. And
exactly.
and a lot of them are not. They just have their objective, whatever their objective is. So it happens that it's often very negative driven. And like, listen, it's similar to what you're saying. I've had people tell me that I don't know jiu-jitsu and I should quit. I mean, it's like it is what it is. You know,
we can't listen to people all the time, you know, and we gotta do what we gotta do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree. I still never mind. We gotta. I'm getting worked up. I'm getting worked up about stupid people now. So,
is it that one comment where you invited the guy to the academy?
Yeah.
And not a challenge. Just come on by and we'll
Alex, I'm not as famous as you are, okay? But you know, I post videos and you know, there was one comment made that you know, it's never gonna work, you know, and so I very kindly invited that individual to come to the academy and train. Like, I just come on by, you know, and he blocked me. He disappeared, you know, whatever. But
I had this several times.
I was like, apparently that was very offensive comment.
But I tell you what, guys, I watch or I listen to some of your podcasts, and that just recently, like before even you contacted me, like a few weeks ago, I watched one of your videos on BJJ Fanatics page, you know, because you have the instructional there, right? With BJJ Fanatics, you know. So
I got 3.
And you know, social media, like I said, it's very excellent tool. You know, it's like you know, and I like the podcast. You know, a lot of times I listen to podcasts, you know, and I love it. I love what you do, what you guys do, because everyone, different people from different areas, you know, even if we do the same, we do jiu-jitsu, right? But we have a different mindset. We have a different background. We have a different point of view, right? Mm-hmm. So we can share that. And that's what I love. I learn a lot from listening to everyone. You know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for only like 8-9 years now. You know what I mean? Like jiu-jitsu. And I got my black belt pretty fast in 6 years, less than 7 years of training, I believe, you know. But I've been teaching, like I said, I've been teaching 5 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I like to hear, you need to stay open-minded, you know. And that's why me and you talking right now, you know. And I really appreciate the opportunity, you know.
Yeah, Thank you. And I think that's like one of the biggest characteristics of leadership is that, you know, you acknowledge the fact that you don't know everything. 2, you're open-minded about hearing other people, actually listening to them and hearing them out. And 2, we have an open mind to learn new things. And I think that's where the jiu-jitsu comes in really handy. You know, jiu-jitsu is very evolving, fast-paced, evolving art that changes all the time. And 2, we do get older. And I don't know, you might not be there yet, but once you get to my age, you know, you're going to have to make some adjustments perhaps. You know, so
I'm not getting any older. I'm young and beautiful, you know.
There's this again.
You are absolutely right. There is no limit in jiu-jitsu, you know. And that you say that I know jiu-jitsu, actually you're done in jiu-jitsu, you know. Yep. Jiu-jitsu is the ocean, right? No limits, man. As soon as you learn some technique, there are other 10,000 different techniques, you know. And that's what I tell to my students, you know. And that's why I'm trying to tell them to like learn different. I'm not teaching them my style. You know, of course, if they want to implement some of my game, you're more than welcome. And a lot of my students, they have my game, right? But like, for example, speaking of my kids, you know, some of the kids like to play guard. Some of them like to play top takedowns, you know, and I just got to make sure that I teach them, you know, anything what they want. You know, I need to give them tools, and not necessarily the tools that I use in my game, because it's not maybe possible to use all the tools out of your box, you know, but at least you can pass that knowledge to your student.
I love it. I mean, that just speaks a huge, you know, how your mind works and the leadership that you embed into your academy. Alex, we got to wrap this up. Where can people find you? Where are you accessible? Social media, obviously, BJJ Fanatics. You have your instructionals. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I have 3 instructionals on BJJ Fanatics. As I mentioned, no-gi instructional, that's door chokes, Peruvian necktie, and Japanese necktie chokes are in there. There are 2 other instructionals. One of the instructionals is gi chokes, Brabo, and Peruvian necktie using the gi, lapel, and the collar chokes, baseball bat, bread cutter, and baseball bat, and what else? And something else. I have too much stuff in my head. And then I have another instructional on Jiu Jitsu X platform. It's called The Game of Chokes, and it's all about anaconda chokes. Okay. So you can find me on Instagram, as I mentioned earlier. I'm active, very active there. It's Alex Humen BJJ. And you can follow my Academy's Instagram page. It's Brabo_Academy. So text me if you have any questions. I would be more than happy to answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, Alex, what a beautiful story from the very beginning to the very end. We wish you the best of luck with your academy as you're starting this brand new journey of independence and creativity and so much beautiful ahead of you. We'll be watching you from sidelines. Gary, before we wrap up?
Yeah, thanks for everything you're doing. Thanks for being as open-minded as you are and pushing, I think, all the positive aspects of what we do forward. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Alex. Let's wrap it up.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.